welcome back to Loving Yourself Fit podcast. I'm super excited and honored to be joined by the amazing Yasmina Ramzy. Welcome, Yasmina.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you that I know for so long.
I know, it's amazing. So I started my journey in belly dance or Raqs Sharqi with Yasmina at the young age of 15. And we've been dancing on and off since, and it's been amazing. And I just wanted to chat a little bit about belly dance and how it can help you love yourself fit and how it can help you love your body in general and how it's just magical for everything. So let's get started, Yasmina. So as I was saying, I think belly dance really led me to kind of have a different relationship with my body than I might have if I hadn't started belly dancing. I just wanted to ask you how you think belly dance does that. What's the magic of belly dance? How does it help us accept our bodies and love them as they are?
Well, it's very organic and it's a very natural kind of movement that doesn't force your body into anything really very unnatural, like stretching or bending your back over or splitting your legs or anything like that. It's very organic. It's very grounded and it's very pelvic centered. So the strongest muscle in a belly dancer's body is, I don't know, some people call it the pelvic floor, Kegels, core, I don't know names of muscles, but that area. Sometimes in class when I just get like, don't know what to say, I just say, okay, use your vagina. So that area. And because we're so used, especially in the West, well, all over the world, but of thinking of our bodies in terms of measurements, we become very kind of shallow approach to what our body represents and who we are when we live in it. But when you start doing work for an hour, even an hour once a week on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and during that hour, you're really, really doing everything from your pelvis. And you're always engaging those muscles and your focus is there. It really starts to rewire your brain and rewire your relationship with your body, because that's part of our body. Also our breasts, we use them as well. So those two parts of our body, but particularly the vagina area, is something that we try to ignore, we don't want to focus on. That's the part that we're supposed to be, I don't know, ashamed of, etc., or hide it, or it's only used for men's things, and we don't actually own them. And so now this hour or whatever you do a week of belly dancing, you're spending this time focusing on that area of your body, and you get to know your body from there. And then you realize how the miracle of you being a woman and how important it is, and maybe on some subconscious level it connects with, that's the place where babies come out of and gives you great pleasure and all those kinds of things. So then your body has a different kind of meaning, you have a different relationship with it. It's not about the measurements anymore, how tall, wide, the ratios, and who cares. It's all about the source of who you are as a woman,
Yeah, I think you see people of all different body types and sizes and shapes and ages and everything in the dance. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it can just work on every body. There's some weird misconceptions that you have to be a certain way to belly dance, or you have to look this way, or you have to look that way. But I think it's beautiful because it looks beautiful on all bodies and in different ways. It's so cool. It's so unique like us. Is that part of something that you see? I guess you do see that. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, a lot of my introduction to the dance was through Arab families. So I spend a lot of time after dinner when the men go off and play towel and smoke cigars, then the women go off and dance. And the women are ages, 3 to like little girls, to grandma, to 100 years old, and everything in between. Some are pregnant, some are young, some are virgins, have 20 grandchildren, but they all move in the same way. They all are telling the same story, and they're proud of their body, they're enjoying their body, they're enjoying their sensuality, and they're sharing it with each other. And each woman is enjoying each other's joy, because there's a joy in sharing that kind of sensuality. And each woman, I'd say, almost gets a high off each other woman's enjoyment of being female and sort of celebrating it. And then it's fascinating how the little 2 or 3 year old will pick up from the 60-year-old the life experience of being a woman and what that means and all the attitude and that she has. And so it's passed down through generations like that. And I think it's very healthy and very, it's something we definitely need in the West.
Yes.
I find in my classes sometimes I'm like, I'm baffled at how much people can put their arm out here, out there, stretch, kick up, do all kinds of things, but they're actually not living inside their own sensuality. Their own sensuality is, they think of it, it needs to be very aggressive and it's about what they look like and has to be very forceful kind of thing, as opposed to just like sitting and abiding in it and enjoying it, you know?
And I think we see a lot of that out there. Like there's overt, maybe sexuality that puts people off the idea maybe even of doing anything like that. But this is so different. I mean, we do it, we know. Sometimes people don't know. They're like, I'm ready to belly. And I'm like, oh, but it's not quite like that. Like, because I think we're very used to seeing people out there, like on social media, on doing certain things. And I personally, I'm like, oh, that's not what I do. But people are like, but you're a belly dancer. And it's like, but it's not like that. It's like what you were describing, the whole like women, and I'm not dancing for a man pretty much ever in my mind. Like I'm dancing for myself.
But even if you're dancing for a man, it still comes from a place of it's your body, you're enjoying it, and your pleasure is what is the
Exactly.
turn on, as opposed to trying to please a man.
Yeah. It's not like I'm doing this to do this for you.
Yeah,
It's doing it for me. Maybe it's awesome everywhere, but it starts from within, I guess.
yeah, it's a story you live for yourself, but when you share it with others, men or women, they can appreciate it, um, and they can. It's I always think that the person that's dancing, how do you say, is experiencing, but the one who's watching is also kind of getting that energy, that very sensual, feminine energy, and it's coming from a kind of sensuality that's not. See, in the West, we look through our Western eyes and we see, oh, belly dance. Her belly button is showing, her cleavage is showing, she's shaking her hips, sex, sex, sex. And
Yeah.
then we think sex is like, I don't know, grinding down the pole or whatever,
Right.
very aggressive and all this kind of stuff. When there's nothing wrong with that, like that's super cool
Yeah.
too. But there's other ways of expressing it, and sometimes the gentleness, the softness that comes from more of a place of love than just actual like lustful sex, it can be sensual, but it's more of a hug, you know? And
Yeah.
and when women belly dance in the way that it's meant to be, there's always a grace, there's always an honor, and a kind of celebration of the value of being a woman and how profound that is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So belly dance has so many different benefits. It also has a physical benefit. I think that you get stronger in certain places that you might never get strong from going to the gym or some other traditional workout. Very inner muscles.
Yeah, so it is very inner muscles,
Yeah.
and 90% of the process of learning how to belly dance is learning how to relax. It usually takes the
Yeah.
first few years just to get the girls to let go.
hmm
And that's another problem with the Western people see belly dance and try to copy it, and they just work muscles to, oh, we got to do this, we got to do
Right.
this. But actually, it's about releasing and allowing things to move and responding to gravity and things like that. So that's very easy on your body. It's easy on your legs. It's easy on your back. And your core is getting stronger all the time. And when your legs and your core get stronger, then your back can then go, oh, maybe I don't need to work so hard. And so a lot of people with back problems, when they take belly dancing, find it really, really helps their back issues because they can now release some of that tension in their back, and from the bottom up they're being held up as opposed to holding themselves up from here all the time. So it's very healthy. I'm 62 years old. I've been dancing every day for 41 years, sometimes as much as, God, I've even done 10 hours a day, teaching classes, doing a show, running here, dancing on cement. Like I do 6 shows a day, things like that. And I'm not doing that much these days, but I'm still dancing every day. I still teach, 2 classes a day, and I'm 62 years old. Why? Because it hasn't harmed my body. I don't have another form of dance. You have problem with your feet, you have problem with your back, you have all kinds of, your hip you have to get replaced, you have all kinds of problems from the damage that's done to your body. But I have a healthy body because I've been doing belly dancing.
And I think it's the fountain of youth, right? Looking at you, it is the fountain of youth to me. I'm like, oh, must keep dancing.
Sometimes I think I've heard this stuff, like in Eastern philosophies, there's chakras and things like that. And I think there's something about the chakra that's in the pelvic region or something that if you can open up that chakra, then it opens up, it stops any blockages or something like that. I don't know anything about all that stuff. But maybe on that level, you are, by opening up that area or allowing that area to be free or allowing it to breathe and be seen, allows other things in your life to flow and you become stronger. I notice a lot of girls who take women, girls of all ages, who take belly dancing, about 3 months in, their life starts to change. And quite dramatic things. They might quit a job that was very toxic. They might leave an abusive husband. They might take a new adventure that they never have done before. And it's something about the 3-month mark of belly dancing and people's lives start to change. So it does start to shift when you start to see the source of yourself, because who we are as a sexual being is so integral to who we are. And if you try to dismiss that or warp it, it warps everything in you. But when you can heal it and live in it naturally, then everything else in your life starts to open up and starts to become clearer, and you can move forward,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think it does kind of like, I've had moments where I didn't dance as much and you do feel clogged, like not flowing. Luckily, you pulled me back into it recently. So and I felt great. It was magical. So it's a good reminder to just like keep going if you were doing it, don't stop dancing because whoa. And I started when I was very young, and I thought that was an amazing time to start as a teenager, young person with body image, like feeling awkward and everything. And then I was learning this beautiful dance and embracing my body the way it was and loving it. I think I kind of like my whole theory in fitness and loving yourself fit kind of, I value it to that. I feel like that was the start of it all. If I had been just normal and I didn't do that, I might still be doing Jane Fonda and like, oh my gosh, I have to be a very certain way and I don't feel good in my body ever. And I've kind of gone the other way and I feel good in so many different ways. Just everybody is interesting to me. So what do you think about that? I know you've done a lot of work with teenagers and stuff like that. Is that a big part of your kind of thing?
Yes. I think it's very important for young teenage girls to be taking belly dancing, because this is such an important time of their life where they're discovering their sexuality and their boobs are growing and their body's changing and their hormones are changing, and then life is throwing all these ideas at them of what they're supposed to look like, what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to act in front of boys. And belly dancing can really empower them in a way that they are the one who's in control. And it's really interesting because I once was teaching, some teacher brought me into, I don't know, Markham or somewhere to teach high school girls a belly dance class. So I taught it. And at the end I sat around, do you have any questions? We all sat on the floor. And then I don't know how the conversation got, but somehow sex got in there. And then I started talking about, you need to respect yourself and your body is yours, and you it's good to have sex, enjoy sex for your pleasure, and but respect yourself. I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, it got into this huge conversation that went on for another hour or so. And by the time we finished, I looked up and all the teachers of the school were at the back of the room listening to this conversation. So then I got hired to do belly dance class in all these different schools. All these teachers were phoning me up and saying, can you come teach belly dancing? I'm like, sure. And they go, and you're going to give the talk about sex after, right? Like I never planned that. It's just, so I ended up being kind of sex ed teacher. And it wasn't about, you know, the vagina goes in the, but it was about how to respect yourself as a teenage girl.
Yeah, the important part.
Yeah, and how to know that your female power is your power, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And
I love that.
so yeah, I ended up teaching that all over the place.
That's awesome. So yeah, so belly dance or Raqs Sharqi is amazing for people at all different stages of their life. I think different times.
So it's not meant for a certain kind of athletic ability. It's not meant for a certain kind of age. It's for all women, small, large, old, young.
And I love that it celebrates all women in all our glory, basically. And that's another thing. You don't have to feel like, oh, I'm this way, so I shouldn't be belly dancing, or I'm too old, I'm too big, I'm too small, whatever it is. I think it kind of celebrates all the diversity in the feminine kind of too, right? And I think often I've heard people say, oh, well, some people think, oh, I need to be smaller to do something. But a lot of people are like, oh, I need a belly to belly dance. And I'm like, but belly dance looks so cool on everybody, right? Which is so beautiful because not everything is like that. People have different thoughts about other things, like you have to look a certain way, you have to, you know, and this one is so embracing of everything. And I think that's sometimes what, I guess it's what we love about it too. It's so amazing, right? And it's so, I don't know, like lets you enjoy your body at all stages, all ages, all sizes.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's
you
an
learn.
empowering dance, and it's good for any age, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great for everything. So what about people who might feel a bit like, oh, I'm kind of shy to like do that movement or do it in my body or whatever? What advice do you have for them?
You know, it's interesting. I have many people show up for a class, and then I never see them ever again. Well, for 1 year, it's usually about a year, and then they come back, and then they're dedicated. And I think there's something about this dance form, maybe because of the sensuality, maybe because it is empowering and it's joyful, that people need to, it takes a while for them to give themselves permission to do it. I have this theory that all women, whether they admit it or not, want to belly dance. Whether they give themselves the permission to do it, that it's okay, that's another story. And people will think it's not okay for many reasons and well-founded. The dance has a really bad PR. Well, the culture does too. And there's so many misconceptions, preconceptions, appropriation. So many things have been done in the name of this dance. And it has been persecuted for thousands of years. It won't go away, because it's just so integral to being important for so many women. But there's so many religions, so many political factions, etc., that have tried to outlaw it, that have tried to ban it, etc. So it has a rough history. And somewhere, you know, a woman who's going to take the class, whether she's Middle Eastern or Canadian or wherever she's from, has something of that history in, you know, she's watched it in a movie or a news program or somewhere. Even myself, the first time it was suggested to me to be a belly dancer, I said, over my dead body. And look at me now, right? So it took me a while to accept it's okay. For whatever reasons, it's, you know, we're not supposed to move that way. We're not supposed to be proud of being female. We're not supposed to be proud of our vagina. You know, I don't know. All of these things come into play. So it takes a while for people to accept that they're allowed to enjoy this dance.
Yeah, yeah. So I think just take that plunge and then maybe take that thinking period and allow yourself to get used to it, right? I guess get used to the idea that it's okay.
Well, also to acknowledge the fact that maybe what your hesitancy is not founded on reality. It's
Right.
just preconceptions. And I found when I opened my first school in 1987, oh, it was like pulling teeth trying to get one student to come in. And people told me, you're crazy, it's never going to work. You can't open a school for belly dancing, no one's going to show up. And they were kind of right. For the first few months, I had one student. But then students started to come, and then of course, 400 students a week, etc. But in the beginning, most of the women were in their 40s, and they were either recently divorced, or their mother had just passed away, or they were entrepreneurs. They were very strong, independent women who were on their own. And so they were making this decision for themselves, as opposed to listening to what other people thought. Mm-hmm. So if your parents or your family or your friends go, ew, don't do that, like, ew, what, you're gonna belly dance? Oh my God, all these reactions cause people to go, okay, I better not go to that class.
Yeah.
And then some people come in secret. I have people in my professional company that I can't list their name in even the program, that were in this, major theater. I can't list their full name for the fear of getting fired. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
So this whole preconception is another reason why I refuse to dance for Canadians, for people of my own culture, because I didn't like the way they viewed this dance, and I didn't want to be viewed that way.
Yeah.
So, but when it's taught in its cultural context, then it's really beautiful and really empowering, and has this ancient history. Farida Fahmy, who's the lead dancer for the most important dance troupe of all time, I did many interviews with her, and one day I asked her, do you think this changes women or affects their health? Or she goes, no. But then after, she told me, I think she didn't want it to sound all hokey, but she told me she met, she met these two women in Germany once who both had bald heads, and she didn't understand why they had bald heads. And then she found out that they were going through chemo, and that she found out that actually they attributed belly dancing to saving their lives. And I have many students, same thing, going through cancer, and they attribute belly dancing to saving their life. Now, I don't know if it's the dance, but something about the dance gave them some joy, gave their endorphins going. I don't know what it was that helped them to heal. And but even Frida Fahmy, she said, Yasmina, please, one day I need you to go and get a group of doctors and do scientific experiments on women's brains before and after they belly dance. And because she says, I know there's something happening there. There's something that's not, all dance makes you happy. All dance is good for you. But not all dance has a very specific kind of healing that happens in belly dancing that's specific to women.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That's a good project to get onto. That's awesome. So thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to talk about the magic of belly dance? Is there anything else you want to leave with the listeners here today?
No, I think that was a nice way to end it. That, belly dance and heal the world. Definitely. Try it out.
See the magic of it, right?
Okay, I will say this. I don't think it only heals just the practitioner, the person who's performing. I think the audience, when belly dancing is performed from that joyful place, the audience is healed as well, because they're introduced to a new way of a feminine expression and a new way of expressing the female body. And actually male body too. I shouldn't just keep talking about female bodies, because it's a sensuality and it's not just specific to female bodies. That's probably a whole nother subject that'll take another half an hour. But I think even the audience, there's a part of them that's healed as well, and that learns to accept themselves. And that if she can be up there enjoying her own sensuality and her own body, then maybe I can accept a part of myself as well. So I think it's healing for the whole world. And I think getting on a bigger subject,
but totally,
is suffering. The whole world is suffering from kind of a disease, and it manifests itself. It manifests itself in the sexual discrimination, misogyny, crimes against women. It manifests itself in climate change. It manifests itself in racial crimes and racial disparities. It manifests itself in these three major things, which are so important at this time. But I think the cause is the same. And it's a disconnection from our humanity and a disconnection from our true selves. When you tell a people that the very foundation of who they are, their sexuality is wrong, and to express love through sex is wrong, when you tell people that, it makes a psychosis. And we've had this psychosis now for a few thousand years. And it's starting, I think, to hopefully change, like might go the other direction. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that when we dislocate from our humanity, then we dislocate from nature, we dislocate from our fellow human beings. But it comes from being dislocated or disassociated with your own source of source of self.
Source of self. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe just to add on, loving the feminine energy in the world too, because I think for a long time the world was go, very soft and unfeminine. And then to see Raqs Sharqi sometimes is like, even for me, I do it, but even just to see it sometimes I'll be like, oh, there's that too. There's not go all the time masculine, that typical thing that we're always going for in this world a lot of the time. And just to see, take a breath of femininity kind of, I think sometimes that can, just watching it, even not only doing it. Yeah.
For sure. We've been taught to devalue feminine aspects of the world. And we've devalued the idea of surrendering. We've devalued the idea of being passive. We've devalued all of these wonderful things. And that makes us askew. We're not whole when we devalue a whole half of our humanity.
Exactly. Yeah.
And belly dancing is a way in to allow that other half of the humanity that's been discarded and devalued to start giving it a power again.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. Okay, well, thank you so much, Yasmina, for being on here. How do people find you online? What's your social media? What's your Instagram? What's your handle there?
Instagram. I have two, YRA, which stands for Yasmina Ramzy Arts, which is my website, yasminaramzyarts.com. So YRA is like the short form. So YRA.performance or YRA.academy. And I think you can use the same for Facebook as well.
Facebook and Instagram. And your website is what? Say it again.
Yasmina Ramzy, like my name, and then arts.com.
Okay, yasminaramzyarts.com.
If you put yasminaramzy.com, you'll still find me.
Yeah, they'll find you on there. Okay, great. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Yasmina. Thank you.